Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. Are you ready for a great show tonight?
Keep the show rolling with your next pastor. Please give a big round of applause for Michael Dendy.
He said it was an open note exam. So now you're wondering what all these pastors think, don't you? Ding! Well, I'm Michael. I'm in recovery from too many kids. It's a disease. It's called lack of prophylactic. I have a rubber deficiency. So my wife and I, we have 10 kids, okay? Yes, 10. It is true. It's 10 kids, okay? Now, the strange thing about having 10 kids is everybody wants to give you advice. Like we need advice. So in the South, it's a little bit different than the North. In the South, you tell somebody you have 10 kids. And when you tell them you have 10 kids, they immediately say, "Do you know what causes that?" And I say, "Yes, it's a disease I have. And my wife and I, we like it." And hey, we are halfway between national average and the Duggars. We're feeling pretty good, being in the middle of the pack there. Yes, that's true. In the North, it's a little bit different, though. In the North, people don't ask you the same. When you tell them, they don't ask you the same questions. They ask, "Are you Catholic? Are you Mormon? Are you Mexican?" Senor? I tell them we're Mormon, Catholic, Mexican, Baptist. We like to dress our kids up in white shirts with ties and drink heavily, ride around on bikes in the neighborhood, telling everybody they're going to hell. Lunchtime, we take a siesta. Senor. So I found out with having 10 kids, something's really, really difficult. Here's what it is. I read the other day, it takes $250,000 to raise a child from birth through 18. $2.5 million. So, I got a plan. I want everybody to take out their checkbook and their wallet. Take it out. Go ahead. We're going to pass a hat. It's for the Nudinator. Just kidding. So when I read this story about this $250,000, I called a family meeting. I told the family, "All right, everybody, with the economic downturn, we're going to have to let some of you go. Your services are no longer needed. We have a severance package for you, $300, and all the unused condoms that you want. It'll save you $2.5 million. Discipline. Discipline's interesting with 10 kids. When I was growing up, it was a willow tree. Go get the switch from the willow tree. Well, we don't have a willow tree. So what I do is I go over to the gun cabinet. What? And I pick the discipline of choice. So, do I want the spanker or the taser? No, I can't taser little kids. I want them to remember what they did wrong. What about teenagers? I got those too. You have teenagers? You have teenagers?
Not anymore.
It's probably a good thing. I can tell. Loss of hair, loss of mind, loss of your language. Yes, it's bad. It's bad. Well, teenagers are a problem for me because there's only one word that my teenagers know, and that word is nothing. So you say, what's wrong? Nothing. Well, what have you been doing? Nothing. What do you want to do with your life? Nothing. There's only one thing worse than a teenager. That's a teenager who's blonde. I have one of those. She's sad. She has a different vocabulary. It's, I don't get it. Anything. Nothing. She doesn't get anything. One time we convinced her that there is a written baby test to take your baby home from the hospital. She said, well, what if you don't pass the test? I was like, well, you can take it again the next morning and maybe they'll let you take the baby home. She goes, well, what if you don't pass it then? They give the baby away. You have 2 sisters you don't even know. My advice, don't drink the night before the baby test. So I have this test that I do to make sure that you know you have too many kids. So here's a couple of ways that you can know, okay? If kids say, I love you, and you say, and you are, do I know you? If your family football games have more in attendance than a Lions game, that's a good way to know you have too many kids. If your mother and your mother-in-law raise money for a vasectomy. That's true. That happened. If you're in your house and you exceed the fire code occupancy, that's a bad day. And if people ask you to make furniture or make a quilt, that's a bad day. I'm Michael Dendy, and I have a disease. It's lack of prophylactic. Good night.